Good evening, guys. It's great to be back here with the ARCA Racing Podcast again. It's your host, Starting Park, RK Colby Evans. I'm glad to be back with you guys in another week of ARCA Racing in the books at Berlin Raceway. Would say it was definitely an okay race. We'll go over it all here. We got the Elko preview. We got some more ARCA news in to talk about. Just not a huge show today. Not overall huge, but I still welcome you guys for joining me today. We're still going to go over like I said, the Berlin race, our Elko preview, and like I said, we'll have some fun. And again, I just thank you guys for joining me. Follow me on social media, of course, at Startin' Park Car. Subscribe and like the channel. We just hit over 315 subs. If you guys don't know, my birthday is coming up on July 2nd. So with my birthday coming up on July 2nd, if we could get my subscribers to 350, I would consider that a birthday present. I would appreciate that. So anyway, guys, let's just get right into it. I know the Bear, I was at the Knoxville race this weekend. Once again, I did not see the ARCA race live. I did rewatch it afterwards on Flow Racing. Figured I would get Knoxville out of the way, even though this is the ARCA Racing podcast. I figured I would talk about my Knoxville weekend because for, the people who follow my Twitter account, I was at the Knoxville truck race with Hill Motorsports, and just what a weekend it was. Timmy, like I said, Timmy and Tyler Hill, two of the most genuine, nice people you'll ever meet, giving a rookie like me a chance. I will forever thank them. It's an honor to call two people like Timmy and Tyler close friends. The whole overall crew, they were nice. Everybody was nice. I'd still rather we go to Iowa Speedway. I'd rather we go to Iowa Speedway, but hey, Knoxville's still fun. Either way, race itself was pretty good. I do hate that Fox missed the Jessica Friesen and Brett Moffitt incidents, but either way, it was definitely a fun weekend for sure. I will do a full review of that weekend tomorrow for backmarker battles, but I just wanted to get a little bit out of the way for you guys. And Jerry Kennedy is in the chat, guys. Jerry Kennedy was nice enough to give me this Cop Motorsports Truck Crew shirt, so I figured I would wear that for the first show back. So, Jerry, if you're watching, thanks again, buddy. I really appreciate it. So, where were we? Berlin Raceway. The site of some very classic ARCA races, some classic crashes, and a short track that, well, not really a straightaway. You're kind of turning the entire time. It's a very unique short track. There's no backstretch wall. So if somebody has a part failure, you're going right out of the track. It's a very unique racetrack. Unfortunately, it's been a ARCA track that has really struggled with car counts. And I was personally not expecting that much. So when we only saw 17 cars on the initial entry list, I thought that was more than personally what we were going to get. The last year's car count for 2021 was only 16. So I didn't think, much of it. I didn't think we were going to get that much. I thought personally it was going to be about 15 or 16. So the fact that we got 17, I thought was kind of lucky. I was glad we got that much. And I think the problem is like, again, for a lot of these races, Berlin's a great track. A lot of great entertainment there. But we just don't have enough cars to really put on an amazing show. And it just hurts me to say that. Because Berlin, like I said, guys, is a very, very fun track. Our entry list consisted of, the usual entries. We had our 3 Venerini cars, KBM. The 81 was not here this week. The 4 Andy Hillenberg cars. We had some interesting entries for them. The 27 was also here with David Richmond. They did a Startin' Park. So you're kind of average field of full-timers with no real surprises other than some different drivers. Tom Hezert III was back. Always good to see him back. Very good driver. Just, kind of disappeared at the end of 2018 was his last start. So it was good to see him back with Venerini. Some other great stories that we had were, Dallas Fruet. I think he worked for, I apologize if I botched his last name, but I think he works for Andy Hillenberg. So it's always cool to see guys like that getting a chance to make a couple of laps. I think he's also starting parking this weekend at Elko, but good to see him get a shot. Rita Thomason, the police officer, I think the second LGBTQ woman. That's always great to see. It's great to see that kind of, diversity in the sport. For Alex Clubb's team, one of my good friends. Some other good stories we had. Ed Pampa was back. Unfortunately, they would suffer an engine failure. So, despite it being a lot of favorites, Ed Pampa didn't get to race. Zachary Tinkle was in the 10 this week. Not racing with Peterson Motorsports. Peterson Motorsports will not be at Elko either. They were not at Berlin, and they will not be at Elko either. I believe they will be at the race after Elko. I don't remember what race is after Elko, but I know Peterson's trying to do as many races as they can. So, yeah, we had 17 cars there. Practice results showed that, like usual, for some strange reason, this is just Daniel Dye's track. I don't know what it is. Daniel's kind of struggled at the other tracks, but for some reason, he really knows how to do this track. Fastest in practice. Sammy Smith was second. Jesse Love was third. Hezer was fourth. Taylor Gray was fifth. Very close to each other. Like, this was going to be a very close race of cars. Interesting note for the Hillenburg entries. D.L. Wilson was actually driving a Stephanie Moyer Toyota car, not D.L.'s usual car. Tim Monroe was in the white Chevrolet with the small 12 number. Zachary Tinkle was in the black and white 10 car that, ironically enough, ran at Iowa. Ed Pampa, I believe, he was either in a Toyota or in a Ford. Don't quite remember which car he was in, but Ed was in one of those cars. Unfortunately, I don't know if it was in practice or qualifying, but Ed, I believe, would lose an engine. So the only full race entry that Hillenburg had for Berlin blew up. So right out of the gate, it was already going to be a long night for Andy Hillenburg. And I don't know what it is, man. 2022 in general has just not been kind to Andy Hillenburg at all. From crashes to just a lot of bad runs. Andy Hillenburg has had a rough 2022, and I hate to see it because I got a lot of friends on that team, and they bust their asses every single weekend. So I hate to see Andy Hillenburg's guys go through so much effort and just get nothing out of it. But, hey, that's just the name of the game. When you got no money, you got to start and park, and that's kind of what Andy's been doing for, well over 10 years now. Qualifying pretty much showed the same results. No shocker, once again, on the pole was Daniel Dye. Excuse me there. Sammy Smith was second again. Jesse Love was third again. Tom Hezet was down to fifth. Only 16 of our, like I said, 17 qualified because, like I said, the 11 blew up. Brad was slowest. Rita was the second slowest. Brad obviously would have more speed. You guys know Brad sometimes, during these different practice and qualifying sessions will not even try. He usually just makes a couple of laps limping around. You guys know how it goes. He's done it many, many times. So then the race comes. Again, guys, I couldn't watch it live. Sorry. So I couldn't provide live race updates, but went back and watched it. And immediately it was shown Sammy Smith was not going to be the car to beat. And instead it was actually going to be the Chevrolet of Daniel Dye. He pulled away to just an early lead. Pulled away to over 2 seconds, which on a track this size is really quite impressive. Was kind of shocked at how fast they caught the back of the field. The 0-3 and the 0-1 got caught in 8 laps. I know I'm going to cut Rita some slack because it was her first race in the car. She didn't have a lot of experience. I don't think she had any experience. So I will cut her a lot of slack, but she was really slow. I'm glad they spotlighted her, but I will call it out. She was pretty slow on the track for the time that she was out there. But I'm going to cut her some slack because this was her first race, and I really hope that she can improve with her speed as the races go on. Because even Brad was about 3 to 4 tenths a lap quicker than her. And, I kind of, you could say you use Brad as the standard bearer for being slow. So I just want to see more speed. I know there's more speed in that 0-3 car, and I hope Rita can find it. But I'm not going to lie, she was really slow. And when they did her highlight, like when they spotlighted her during the race, she was just She was having trouble holding her line. She was having trouble, staying out of the way. I don't want to criticize. I want to see the improvement, but I'm going to cut her slack because it's her first race. We all make mistakes in the first race. It's the second race where I really want to see the progress from Rita because I know she can do it, and I want to see her be successful. So just wanted to shout that out. Our starting parks got off the track early. Dallas was out in 3 laps. DL was out in 9 laps. Tim Monroe was out after 14 laps. And Zachary Tinka was out after 38 laps. During this time, Daniel Dye was just putting a hurting on the field, lapping car after car after car after car. When unfortunately on lap 47, the 03 of Rita actually spun going into turn 1. They had a vague replay of what happened. It didn't really show for sure what happened to her. Did she just get loose? Did she clip the grass and it sucked her around? Either way, she spun out. Couldn't get the car refired. I mean, I checked my friend Alex's Facebook, and they said it was just something maybe with the fuel or electrical. Either way, they couldn't get the car going again, and unfortunately had to retire. Jimmy, right in the chat, what's up? But they had to retire the car, unfortunately, which was really sad because, my guy Alex, he works so hard. He only has a couple of full-time guys. He does a lot of it himself, and I really hate to see that team struggle because, they had the rear seal issue at Iowa, and they were out early again tonight, and I'm hoping that at Elko they got better luck. So by then, we're 50 laps into the race, and we're already down to just 11 cars. And the 11 cars that are left are basically the 10 cars that can actually show great speed, and then Brad. So all of a sudden I'm thinking here, wait, Brad might have a legit chance at a top 10 finish pending one of these guys crashes out. And well, that would come. Just 12 laps later, on lap 66. For anyone who was watching or maybe who was at the race itself, what happened to the 30? I watched the broadcast and I didn't see a definitive replay of what happened to Amber Balkan, but going into turn 3, Amber Balkan hit the rear of her car very, very hard. Did a lot of damage, and she got out of the car. Luckily, she was okay, but got out of the car. I mean, if she spun herself, people are saying in the chat, I don't know for sure, but she got loose, brought out the caution. Her first DNF in a while, kind of a shame because she was coming off 3 straight top 10 finishes, which honestly was a lot more impressive than I thought because I didn't expect that much out of her this season. And I will say she's showing me a lot more than I thought she was going to show. She's actually done a lot better than I thought. So I'll admit that. Amber's done a lot better than I thought. And I hope to see her run another season of ARCA to really get her bearings down because she's got the sponsorship behind her. Yeah, people got their opinions on her, but I really hope that she does run another season of ARCA because I see improvement. And I want to see that in every driver. So that took her out of the race, which right there guaranteed Brad Smith his second career top 10 finish in 34 years of being in the ARCA series. Brad Smith was guaranteed to get his second career top 10 finish. But that was kind of the down tier of this race. We were on lap 74. And we were already down to 10 cars. And that goes back to what I said at the beginning of the show. Berlin is a very entertaining track, but we need the field size to actually put on a good show. And that's where this race, I feel like, really kind of went downhill. With only really 4 or 5 cars that could keep up with the leaders. And then you had the competitive stragglers, and then you had Brad out there. It just really overall was kind of dull. I'm not going to lie. It was kind of dull in parts. There were some great battles within the pack, although he couldn't get to the leader, Tom Hezard was going backwards, forwards. Tom Hezard, I would say, was I don't know if they have like a racer or if like a hard charger award. I think Brad Smith actually won the hard charger award, but I would give the hard charger award to to Tom Hezer, because he went back and forth all night. For the second race in a row, I haven't talked about the Rev cars yet, because 2 races in a row, they really haven't done much. Both Raja and Nick Sanchez really have struggled the past 2 races. And with going into Elko this weekend, I kind of expect the same thing. Really, I don't know what it is, but Rev, for being a really good short track team, they really have not been very good on their short track program this year for ARCA. Both cars, sixth, 5th and 6th in this race. They would have both finished outside of the top 5 had Daniel Dye not had his issues. So they're kind of lucky they got the lead that they have right now in the driver points, because they've really been struggling right now. Daniel Dye, if it were not for his issues, probably would have been within a point of the points lead tonight. So that was kind of shocking to see both Rev cars struggle again. So yeah, like I said, by this point, 51 laps in, we hadn't only had but a couple of lead changes. Daniel Dye led the first 72 laps. And then during a caution, Sammy Smith got the lead, only held it for 2 laps. Daniel Dye then got right back by, and again was just, I'll just say he was kicking ass. He was picking him up and laying him down. I don't know what he does at this track that nobody else can figure out, but man, the 43 was on point. We had our second break for tires, still didn't make a difference. Dye was just shot out of a rocket. By this point, though, it looked like nobody else was going to drop out. The 48 of Brad Smith, they didn't drop out, I believe, because of a mechanical issue. I believe Brad simply dropped out because they knew nobody else was going to drop out. And he's done that before. Brad's done that before where, if you're going to finish here, you don't think anyone else is going to drop out. Sometimes you just come to the conclusion, why finish? And I know sometimes, you want to finish, you want to be at the end, but, for a guy like Brad who doesn't really care about DNFs, and the race results prove it, Brad pulling off was probably the best decision he could have done. He wasn't going to gain anything. He wasn't going to lose anything. And by the time the race was over, he was already packed up. So Brad Smith then pulled off, which unfortunately left us with just 9 cars left on the track. Will say was pretty disappointed with Tony's performance tonight. Didn't have much sponsorship on the car at all. The car was pretty much white, except for some Pit Viper logos on the quarter panels. I'm not going to lie. I was a little disappointed with her performance tonight. She, by that point of Brad dropping, I was already 4 laps down and would actually finish the race. The last car running 6 laps down. And I don't know if there was something wrong with her car, but, with all due respect, that, in my opinion, that's a really bad performance. Amber's really been doing a lot better than her lately. And I would say, Tony, she's good in her own right, but she's got to step it up, because I was criticism of her run at Charlotte where she went 2 laps down on pure pace. You're in a Venturini car. You're in great equipment. You're probably in the 2nd or 3rd best tier car in the garage, and you're running like this. You got to pick it up. And again, what I said about Rita Thomason is what I want to see in Tony Breidinger, and same with Amber Belkin. I know there's improvement in them. Another full season of ARCA could really go wonders. So I think another full season with ARCA for Tony, with maybe a truck start then and there if she, gets cleared to run, would maybe be the best decision for her. But I want to see improvement out of Tony. I know she can do it. I know she's got her haters, but I think she can do it. And I want to see that improvement because I want to see, women in this sport be successful. I want to see a woman win a race. That'd be cool, man. Especially a race that I would go to, like a woman winning Iowa. That'd be awesome. So I want to see the improvement out of these women drivers. I know they can do it, but I understand it. It's not easy. Not many people can do it, and hardly anyone has been able to do it. So I want to see the improvement out of Tony. I want to see the improvement out of Amber, and I want to see the improvement out of Rita. But yeah, so I'm going to be honest. It was a really disappointing run from Tony Breidinger tonight. Same with Greg Van Alst. And I understand, Greg Van Alst really doesn't have the funding that I think a lot of people think he does. They're low budget, but not really. It's kind of weird to say. I don't want to say they're a low budget team, but they don't have the funding, not even close to what some of these other teams have. They don't even have a full-size hauler. For the people who don't know, Greg Van Alst does not have a full-size hauler. They have I don't even know how to describe their hauler. It's just a very unique trailer with a dually pickup at the front. But they still try their best. And, Greg still did a great job tonight, finishing 8th. But I will say kind of a disappointing run for him. Getting down to the close stages of the race, laps were ticking by, not much is happening. We hit 10 laps to go. The commentators say 10 laps to go. And then all of a sudden, something happens. You look at the interval chart on the left-hand corner, and you're seeing the 18 gaining a lot of speed. And then all of a sudden, with 9 laps to go, you can see the 43 not going as fast. And what's happening? What's happening? And 7 laps to go kicks by. He loses a second and a half to the 18. And by then, he's shaking the car, wondering if something's wrong. And sure enough, it was a mechanical type failure issue. And there goes the 18 right on by with about 6 laps to go. Heartbreak, utter heartbreak for the 43 team of Daniel Dye. They had this thing in the bag. Unfortunately, the car decided to quit just 6 laps before the race ended. Daniel was able to limp the car home. Unfortunately, he took the white flag, but stalled on the backstretch and was not officially credited with finishing the race. A guaranteed win does not even result in a top 5 finish. Very disappointing run for the GMS racing team because, it would have been really good to see the Petty team get a win. I know people say it's full GMS on the ARCA side, but, 43 is 43. I always love seeing the 43 win. But it's just a shame. I am a big fan of Daniel Dye. Obviously he's had his issues the last couple months, and this would have been a great rebound story. Would have put Daniel Dye right back in the championship, but nope. He sucked it up in his interview. He owned up to it, just mechanical issue. That's racing. And the old saying, reigns true again, guys. It's never over until it's over. And I love that quote. And that quote is used for all kinds of sports. I love it. It really never is over until it's over. Fortunately, Daniel Dye found that out the hard way. But that made room. Despite finishing second at his home race at Iowa, Sammy Smith takes another ARCA win. Tom Hazard, third, finishes second. Jesse Love finishes third. Taylor Gray finishes fourth. Raja Caruth sneaks up for a top 5. Nick Sanchez is in 6th. Daniel Dye fell back to 7th. Like I said before, Greg Van Alst 8th. Tony Breidinger 9th. And our man Brad Smith gets that top 10 finish. The race itself, guys, out of its score of 10, I got to give it a 6. I think if you take out the finish, had Daniel Dye just went all the way to the flag winning the race, I would have to say it was pretty dull. I thought it was the racing itself behind the leader was good, really good. But just the lack of cars, Dye just murdering the field. Overall, just, I don't know, man. Berlin is a great race, but I want to see improvement in the car counts. I think that would just help. I hate it because I never like to speak bad about the series. You guys know that. I never, ever like to speak bad about the series, but I have to. This race was not very good. And I just hope it gets better because I love Berlin. I love the track in Berlin, and I want to see that race get more cars next year, and I want to see that track put on the show that I know it can. But unfortunately, I'm going to give this race just a 6 out of 10. Our point standings following the race, there was some controversy online. An image was shown on Twitter. I don't know if you guys saw it. Racing Reference had not updated the point standings, and it was all jumbled all over the place. They finally have updated the point standings to the real deal, and this is how it is, with Raja Caruth finishing ahead of Nick Sanchez, Raja breaks the tiebreaker, still leading the points, but just by 1 over Nick Sanchez. Daniel Dye, unfortunately, didn't gain anything on them, so he is now still 11 points behind. Tony Breidinger is in 4th, 49 behind. Amber Balkan is 5th, 55 behind. Greg Van Alst is in 6th, 57 behind. Zachary Tinkle is in 7th, 96 behind. And the last full-time driver right now in ARCA, 8th place, our man Brad Smith in 8th place, 101 points back. In case you guys are wondering where Sammy Smith is, Sammy Smith with this latest win has now moved up to 12th in the point standings, is 183 points back, so he is not winning the championship. Stop saying he is. He's not going to win it. Even if he wins every single race for the rest of the season, there is no way that Sammy Smith will win the championship. It's not possible. So, for the Rev cars, looks like it's going to be a battle between them for the time being, and hopefully Daniel Dye can recover maybe at the road courses coming up. And, of course, some of the bigger tracks we also got coming up like Pocono and Michigan. But, yeah, man, Rev Racing, they really got to step it up. Their short track program's been kind of dull the last couple of races. Greg Van Alst is now, after a real struggle to start the season, is kind of caught up to Amber Balkan and Tony Breidinger. I would expect Van Alst to probably pass them in the points just based off of running ahead of them by a couple of spots. Tinkle, I know he's trying to go the whole season. He's just trying to put the funding together. And, of course, we know Brad's going to go the whole season. I do think that Sammy will probably catch Brad and Zachary. But I think that's about as high as he's going to get. I don't see him catching all the way up to Amber, Tony, and Greg. That's just too many points to climb back up with not enough time. The real battle is in the owner points right now. The owner points after this race, Billy Venturini's 20 car was able to finish ahead of most of these cars, so it actually extended its lead. The Billy Venturini 20 car is currently 9 points ahead of the 6 Max Siegel entry. The 2 is in 3rd, 10 points behind. The 43 is in 4th, 20 points behind. The 15 is in 5th, 26 points behind. The 18 of Kyle Busch in points is only 28 behind. So they've gained 10 points. So are KBM out of this Owners' Championship battle? Maybe not. But 28 points is still a lot to gain. But I guess from what we've seen, there is a very possible way that KBM could still come back to win this Owners' Championship, what I would say would be pretty impressive. Kathy Venturini's 25 cars in 7th, mathematically out over 40 points behind. Mark Rett's 30 cars in 8th. Greg Van Alst is in 9th. And Andy Hillenberg's 11 car is 10th in points. Our man Brad Smith is down in 14th. And the last full-time car in points is the 0-1 for Andy Hillenberg, which is down in 17th. So, yeah, definitely the real battle is in the Owners' Championship. A lot of close battles there. As for Rev, you know, my picks this season was Sanchez. I'm really curious to see how Caruth does on the road courses. I think that's really where this championship battle could get extended because even with only 16 or 17 cars on the road courses, you know, if someone crashes out, you know, stuff could still happen where that car could, you know, fall down a lot of places. I think the road courses are going to be the tracks where we could really see some opportunities for gaining points and losing points come to fruition. So moving on from Berlin, guys, we have Elko this weekend. Now, I do apologize up front. I was supposed to originally be going to Elko with Brad Smith, but unfortunately, the real-world issues right now have raised costs to the point. You guys saw me announce it on social media. The real-world cost issues have canceled my trips to Elko, Indianapolis, and Road America. I hate to say it, but, you know, I'm not the only one who's suffering from it, so hate to announce that, but, you know, I can't do anything about it. I have to support myself first. I just hate it because, you know, for any race fan, the worst thing is to cancel a trip. But you got to do what you got to do. So apologize for that up front. Hopefully Brad Smith and the guys can still have a good run this weekend. The entry list was a surprising shocker to me. 20 cars. Did not expect that much. I expected less than Berlin. I expected 16. But yeah, 20 cars for this race. Some notable entries. We have the 7 team will be back again. Eric Caudell's team will be back. Good to see them. Colton Collins will be running for them. The 55 is back again with Tom Hazard this weekend. Some other entries. The 66 of Ron Vandermeer Jr. They've been running with partnerships this season, running the 27, running the 44, but this is Ron Vandermeer's actual own operation this week in the number 66. And we got Zachary Tinkle up in the chat. Good to see you, Zachary. I don't know if you could confirm this. If Zachary Tinkle, if you are watching, are you going to be back with Peterson Motorsports this season? I've had some people tell me that you're not with them anymore. So if you could clarify that right now on the show, that would be appreciated. Anyway, guys, of course, Zachary Tinkle will be he's on the current entry list right now for Elko, so I hope he is driving this weekend if you're watching, Zachary. But yeah, other notable entries. Zachary Tinkle's in the 10. Bryce Hausberg's in the 11. Willie Mullins will be in the 12. This is another partnership that both Andy Hillenberg and Willie Mullins have done in the past. So good to see Willie back. He usually does a pretty good job for not having a lot of funding. Dallas Fruet is in the 27 again, so expect that to be another start in park. DL Wilson's back in the 01 again. Not sure if that's going to be DL's car or the same Moyer car that he had driven the last week. And Alex Clubb will be back and the old Ford again that he drove at Iowa. So hopefully that they've been able to fix everything up on that car. And, hopefully no seal issues or no issues will happen with them this weekend in Elko. So guys, a quick update from Zachary Tinkle in the chat. He's, and I quote, "I will confirm right now it's TBI on the 06. Depends on what Wayne wants to do as well and how it goes with fast track." So that's an update live on the air from Zachary Tinkle. I can say from all of us, Zach, we want you to run full time and we hope you can find the funding because you're one of my best friends at the track. We all love you. We all want you to we all want you to get a ride that shows up your true talent. So hope the best continues for you, buddy, and I hope you get more opportunities. But yeah, guys, I will genuinely say I did not expect this many cars. Happy to say I'm always wrong. I think we do have a good field of cars in terms of our starting parks. Zachary, I guess if you could also answer, will you be running the whole race this weekend or will you be starting parking the 10? If you could answer me that question, I'd also be appreciated. The other starting parks I would expect would be the 01 because that's been the main starting park entry for Hillenberg this year. I don't expect Brad to start in park. He's been trying to run the short track full races. I could see him starting parking Elko mainly because it's such a small track. It's kind of hard to get out of the way. You have more room to get out of the way at Berlin than Elko. So it wouldn't shock me if Brad starting parks, but I hope he does run the whole distance. Other starting park entries, I think that's kind of it because I know Bryce Hausberg, he will run the whole race. Obviously, Willie Mullins will run the whole race. But I think right now the only starting parks I could see would be the 27, the 01, the 48, and possibly the 10. Right now, Zachary says in the chat, guys, the 10 is a starting park because we have no sponsorship, an issue that has unfortunately plagued Andy Hillenberg and both Zachary Tinkle a lot this season. It sucks because we know Andy can put a great car on track, and we know Zachary, with the right money, can really do wonders on track as well. So it looks like for now, guys, this confirmed starting parks will be the 10, 27, 01, and again, not clear on the 48. Sometimes Brad doesn't even know if he's going to start in park until the race actually starts. I mean, if you guys remember back at Kansas, we were going to run the whole race, and then we weren't. And then we were, and then we weren't. And then we finally decided we weren't running the whole race. So I can't give you guys a definitive decision on what Brad's going to do. He will basically see it when the race starts, you know. So, yeah, in terms of, like I said, picks, we do have Landon Pemberton making his debut in the 15. I believe this is his first race. My pick to win this race, I'm going to go with Tom Hazard again. I think Tom Hazard is really going to I just think experience is going to pay off. Tom Hazard's been at Elko many times, and I will definitely say I think the part-time 55 entry gets its first win in a long time. Tom Hazard is my pick for this weekend. My sleeper pick for the weekend, I'm going to go with Taylor Gray. As you guys know, last year's race had the infamous finish where Corey Heim and Ty Gibbs dominated the race. And, you know, you guys remember at the end of the race, you know, Heim basically said, bye, and just shunted the 18 right out of the way. And Venerini actually ended up with a 1-2-3 finish on that day. So, you know, Venerini looks to recapture that glory last season. But yeah, last year's Elko race, like I said, guys, didn't have that big of a car count. That's why I was genuinely shocked to see last year's 2021 Menards 250 only had 17 cars, and, you know, 4 of them were starting parks. So it's good to see a much bigger, more competitive field for this race, especially because just like Berlin, if you have enough cars, Elko can put on a really, really good show. So yeah, guys, I'm really excited for it. Again, I love the fact that with this season of ARCA, we have enough competitive cars to where I can't tell you guys who's going to win the race. And that's why I'm happy. You know, I always love it when we have a race where we can't decide the winner, you know, because Sammy Smith has shown, you know, the 18, it is beatable. You know, Taylor Gray, he is beatable. You know, the Rev cars, they've struggled. You don't know who's really going to win the race. The 43, you know, they could come out of nowhere. I think it's a really up and down, God, what am I trying to say? Up and down season, you know, and like, I'm really happy that we've had races where we can't confirm the winner because let's face it, you know, guys, I've said it many times, you know, last year's ARCA season was a little dull at some times because let's face it, you know, we were cheering on the battles from second on back as Ty Gibbs was just murdering the field. But I definitely think a Venerini car wins this weekend, whether it be Tom Hazard or Jesse Love. I can see Jesse Love winning as well. But I just think, like I said, experience is going to pay off. And I could see Tom Hazard getting the win. I don't think it's going to be clean. I definitely think when it comes to Elko, you know, the bumping and shoving, I definitely think we're going to see some bump and runs, and I wouldn't be shocked if we see a last lap bump and run for the win. I'm genuinely excited for this race. However, guys, just like usual, 4th week in a row, I have to sadly announce I will not be watching the race live. I'm not going to the race this weekend in Nashville. My father and I are actually going to see the Blue Men Group. I'm not sure if any of you guys have been to go watch the Blue Men Group, but we are going to Kansas to go watch them. And then the next day on Sunday, while the Cup race is happening at Pocono, the Rusty Wallace driving experience will be at Kansas Speedway then the next day. So my dad is going to go run some laps around Kansas, and I'm going to go watch him. So for the 4th week in a row, I won't be able to watch the ARCA race, and I'll have to watch it on a tape delay on Flow Racing. But yeah, so that's kind of the deal, guys. I hate not being able to live tweet with you guys about these races, but, you know, I want to be able to do some fun stuff with my family. I do think I'll be able to watch the Mid-Ohio race. Want to watch the Mid-Ohio race live, but again, I'm not for sure, guys. That'll just come down to whether I'm doing anything or not. But either way, guys, I don't know who your guys' picks are. You guys can drop the chat in below. Zachary Tinkle, make sure to cheer on him this weekend, even if he's not running the whole race. You know, let's hope he runs fast enough, impresses someone, and gets him a sponsor. I wish I had enough. I wish we could start a campaign for him because he deserves sponsorship just as much as everyone else does in the backfield of ARCA, because there's a lot of great equipment. And I think the one thing that people don't realize is the amount of good equipment that is actually in the back part of the ARCA garage area is just not shown. Andy's got a lot better equipment than people think he does. He really does. Tim Richmond and his team, Richmond Racing, they got good equipment. They just haven't been able to find the funding to really show it, or had the luck to really show it. I think Alex Clubb, he's got a good car. They just haven't had any, luck either. There's good equipment in the back part of the garage. They just really haven't had the chance to show it off, I feel like. Denny Ham on NASCAR, to confirm your question. Yes, I believe DL is going to be a start in part this weekend because, of course, the 0-1 being the lowest car in Andy Hillenberg's fleet of owner points. Anyway, guys, that is kind of it. You guys can put your race picks in the chat or in the comment section below. I'm working on some more content videos. Again, guys, I hope you've enjoyed the couple that I put out lately. We had videos on Kevin Counselor, of course, the one on Eric Martin. I'm working on some chassis videos, trying to get some content. I'm just very busy, trying to do media stuff. I'm trying to set up races, personal life stuff. It's busy, man. I'm all over the place, and I love it. But unfortunately, I just haven't had a big chance to do content-related stuff because I know you guys enjoy it. I love this channel. But like I said, guys, wrap it up. To people who watch this show, again, I want to get to 350 by my birthday. That's just over a week and a half away, so it's not a non-feasible topic. But for my birthday on July 2nd, guys, if we could get to 350, that would mean the world to me. So anyway, guys, we will catch you all next week on the ARCA Racing Podcast, but we won't be gone for a week. Tomorrow, make sure you guys hear this, tomorrow at 7 p.m., not 6, but 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern, we will be going live with Backmarker Battles, and we have an update from Brock Beard on the G2G racing situation, which we will be going over. We will be going over Brock's article, some final thoughts about the G2G racing situation and where they go from there. And we go through the Backmarker Battle portions of the Trucks, Xfinities, and Cup Series, their bonuses, their battles, and how the qualifying sessions for this weekend at Nashville will definitely be must watch. Also, if you're going to Nashville this weekend, if anyone who watches this show is going to Nashville this weekend, please stay cool. It's going to be hot. But yeah, I wanted to get those shout outs out. Again, guys, like and subscribe to the video. Follow me on social media. You guys know the drill. Thanks again for your continued support. And we will catch you all tomorrow with Backmarker Battles and next week with the ARCA Racing Podcast. You guys have a good rest of your night. I'm going to get out of here, and we'll catch you all real soon. So long, guys. I love you all.